Hi, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to have a review. Let's begin. First, I want you to complete the phrases here with these words. For example, you achieve a goal. Number two, you acquire knowledge or we're going to check this during class, so pause the video while you complete all of the phrases. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Now, let's read these statements and which advice do you think is the most important? Why? Number one, work on your resume. An impressive resume is important. 2. Give an example of how you achieved the goal. 3. Explain how your work can save money. 4. Always research the company before applying. In my opinion, number 4 and number 1 are the most important. What about you? We're discussing class. Now, let's read the sentences again. And first, let's identify the nouns. You should have resume, example, goal, work, money, company. Very good. Now, are these nouns singular or are they uncountable? And is a or an being used? Pause the video while you think about this. Okay, let's check. So, for example, resume is a singular noun. Example and goal are also singular nouns. Company is also a singular noun. Now, we're using work and money, and they are uncountable nouns. If you noticed, the only nouns that have a or an are singular. An impressive resume, an example, a goal. You shouldn't use a when you have something uncountable. Let's take a look at this. So we have countable nouns, and that means that we can count them. For example, we can say a pencil or there are two pencils. Remember countables, they can be singular or plural. Now, uncountable nouns cannot be counted. For example, I love music, and there are 2 pounds of sugar here. If you notice, I am using a measurement, 2 pounds, to count the quantity of sugar. It is important to remember that when we have a noun and it is singular, we should use is, a or an, and if you use a plural countable noun, you should use are in any of the phrases as some, any, a lot of, a few, or many. And when you have uncountable nouns, you will only use verb to be is, and you can also include a phrase like a little, a bit of, a piece of, much, some, any, or a lot of. Okay, let's continue. Now, let's read the sentences and please think about this. Are they generalizing or specifying something? Pause the video while you think about this. Okay, let's check. Some employers offer free exercise classes is generalizing. Others give you dental insurance. Generalizing. Some let you take the kids to the office. Here I'm specifying. Some companies have a doctor. Generalizing. My company offers classes after work. Once again, I'm generalizing. His work allows him to cook at the office. That is specifying. I work for a company that has a barber shop. Generalizing. The classes I take after work are very expensive. Specifying. Very good. So, in generalizing, let's look at this sentence. My company offers classes after work. If you notice here, we are going to use a, an, de, or nothing when we have plural or singular nouns to make generalizations. That's right, we're going to use Nothing, we're not going to use any article when we have a plural noun to make generalizations. My company offers classes after work. But what kind of classes are these? We don't know. Maybe they are dancing classes or cooking classes. It's not specific, it's very general. Let's take a look at the next sentence. I work for a company that has a barber shop. In this case, I am generalizing because I'm not telling you what company or what barbershop is in this company. But since it is a singular noun, we are using a or an. Now, let's go ahead and continue. When we are specifying things, let's take a look at the sentence. His work allows to cook at the office. In this case, we are using the article de when we have singular nouns to specify something. At the office, obviously he works at. The classes I take after work are very expensive. Here I am also using the article de and I have a plural noun. Now let's continue. Let's go to student book page 72, exercise 1a. Here, what you need to do is to complete these sentences with verbs. And think about which are the 5 most important pieces of advice. For example, you follow your boss's advice. You have or get some training too. New skills. Pause the video while you complete this. Okay, guys, we're going to check this during our class. Now let's go ahead and continue. Now think about this. How could you help other people? Would you like to be part of some organization or would you like to create your own? Okay, let's take a look at these sentences and think about this. Do they mean the same? And where are they happening? Are they talking about real things? Let's read. If I were a millionaire, I would help poor people. If I had been a millionaire, I would have helped poor people. If I were a millionaire, I would have helped poor people. If you notice, even though they are quite similar with the words we're using, they do not mean the same. And some of them are referring to things in the past or in the present. Now, something that they all have in common is that we are not talking about real situations. We're talking about imaginary situations. So, let's take a look at second conditional. If I were a millionaire, I would help poor people. Here, am I talking about a present condition and a past result? A present condition and a present or future result? Or a past condition and a past result? Please remember that all of these are imaginary situations. That's right, here we are talking about a present condition and a present or future result, of course, all imaginary. What is the structure that I use? Pause the video while you think about this. That's right, we're using if, simple past, and would plus base form. Excellent. Now, let's take a look at the next sentence. If I had been a millionaire, I would have helped poor people. Once again, think about what this is expressing. A present condition and a past result, a present condition and a present or future result, or a past condition and a past result. And what is the structure? Pause the video while you think about this. Okay, so here we're talking about a past imaginary condition and of course a past imaginary result. And to talk about third conditional, we're going to use if plus past perfect and would have past participle. Very good. Now, this is the mixed one. So, one more time, I will ask you to please pause the video, find what we are expressing in the structure. Okay? So, if I were a millionaire, I would have helped poor people. We're talking about a present condition with a past imaginary result. And the structure in this case is if simple past plus would have past participle. Okay, now I want you to think about this. What cause would you like to support and how would you help them? How would you help any person or any problem that we have in the world? Think about this so we can discuss in class. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Now, look at these words. Do they mean the same? Creation, creating, creative? No, right? Even though they are quite similar, we are talking about different things. So, I want you to please identify which one is the adjective, the noun, or the verb. If you notice, creation is a noun, create is a verb, and creative is our adjective. Very good. Now, what is a noun, what is a verb, and what is an adjective? Please pause the video while you match with the correct definition. Okay? So, a noun is a word that refers to someone or something. A verb is a word that indicates an action, usually done or performed by the subject. And an adjective is a word used to describe something. Very good. Now, take a look at this list of noun, verbs, and adjectives. For example, environment does not have a verb. Now, the verb hunger is not very common. That's why it has a little star. You may pause the video if you want to take a look at the list a little bit more. Okay, let's go ahead and practice. Let's go to student book page 73, exercise 3. Here, we're going to fill in the blanks with the words in the box and circle the correct options to complete the sentences. For example, investment in education is expensive, but it saves money eventually. Education or the education is crucial because educated people are less likely to live below the level. In this case, we should use education. It's very general. That's why we're not using an article or even the. Now, how would you complete that? Less likely to below the poverty level. Very good. Now, pause the video while you work on the rest, please. Okay, we're going to check this exercise during our class. Let's continue. Now, please read these options and choose one that you think is the most serious problem in the world. How would you solve it? Please think about two possible solutions so we can share in class. Okay, let's continue. Now, we have these sentences that describing what Aya, Luis, Pin, and Tom think. Which of the sentences is imagining a different situation in the present? Aya wishes we could eradicate poverty. Very good. Now, which sentence is telling something you want someone else to do? Pin wishes someone would solve hunger. Which sentence is expressing things you want in the present, past, or future? Tom hopes they will create new jobs. That's right. And which sentence is imagining the past? Luis wishes everywhere hadn't gotten so polluted. Excellent. So, now I want you to please pause the video while you match the structure with the correct sentence. Okay, let's go ahead and check. So, when we are imagining a different situation in the present, we're going to be using wish plus the past tense of a verb. For example, Aya wishes we could eradicate poverty. When we're telling something you want another person to do, then you're going to use wish plus would plus verb. Pin wishes someone would solve hunger. 3. When we're expressing things you want in the present, past, or future, you're going to use the verb hope followed by the tense that you will need. In this case, it's about the future. Tom hopes they will create new jobs. And finally, when we're imagining the past, we're going to use wish and past perfect. Louis wishes everywhere hadn't gotten so polluted. Great. Let's go ahead and practice. Let's go to student book page 72, exercise 2A. Here, we need to circle the correct form of the verbs to complete the conversations. For example, so, when you look back on last year, do you wish you had done something differently? Yeah, I suppose, like, I wish I hadn't spent so much last semester. Here, we're using past perfect because we're imagining the past. You know, if I hadn't bought so many clothes and things, I wouldn't be in debt now. Very good. Pause the video and work on the other conversations, please. Okay, guys, we're going to check this during class. Now, what do you think will happen to money in the future? Do you think it's going to disappear or do you think we're just going to use different type of bills? Okay, we're going to share in class. Now, let's read the sentences and decide. Are these predictions based on evidence? Are these predictions but are not based on evidence or are they conditions? Okay? So, when we're talking about predictions based on evidence or even plans but we have evidence, we're going to be using be going to plus verb. Everyone is going to use cards in the future. My evidence is that right now a lot of people use cards to pay. Then, we can have predictions but when we don't have evidence. And in this case, we're going to use a modal verb. For example, will, may, or might plus verb. Every cell phone will have an app to pay. Here, I don't have that much evidence, it's just a prediction. There may not be a need for cash. Again, here, we don't have a lot of evidence. We might only use our phones or phone apps to pay. But again, we don't have evidence here, so that's why we're using a model. Now, you may use a continuous form plus a verb with ing when we're talking about an event that will be in progress in the future. Finally, conditions. If we only use cards, kids will need to pay for their lunch in school. They will need one, right? Here, we're imagining something in the future. We're going to use simple present. Now, let's continue. What do you think people will be wearing in 50 years? Please pause the video and write down 3 ideas so we can share in class. Okay? Now, let's read these sentences and think about what they have in common. The projector must be warming up. The projector won't connect to my laptop. Can somebody turn the lights off, please? I'll make the screen bigger. If you notice, we are using modal verbs. So, what is a modal verb? A modal verb is a type of verb that modifies the main verb. They can express permission, ability, necessity, and others. We have here some examples. Be able to, can, could, had better, have to, may, might, must, need to, ought to, shall, should, will, and would. Let's take a look at them. Modal verbs are followed by a verb in its base form. So the projector won't connect into my laptop is not correct because if you notice, I am using ing. The correct sentence would be the projector won't connect to my laptop. And remember that modals can have different meanings according to the context of the sentences. He should come on time and I should study for my exam. They are both using the modal verb should. However, one is expressing necessity and one is expressing expectation. Please pause the video while you match them. Okay? So if you notice, he should come on time is an expectation, and I should study for my exam is a necessity. Great job. Okay, let's read the sentences and find what these models express. Pause the video while you match. Okay, so there should or there ought to be a handout going around is expressing a expectation. The projector must be warming up is a guess. I'm quite certain this is happening. The projector may, might, or could be broken is also a guess, but in this case, I am not so sure. Now pause the video while you read the other sentences and continue matching what these models express. Okay, let's see. I should, ought to, have to, need to, had better stop. This is a necessity. You might want to write down the information. This is a suggestion or an advice. Can you all see the screen? Ability. One more time, pause the video while you match this. Okay, let's check. The projector won't connect to my laptop. I am indicating a failure, something that is not working. Could, would, or can somebody turn the lights off, please? I am expressing a request. I'm asking for a favor. Okay, one more time. Pause the video while you match. Okay, let's see. I will make the screen bigger. I'm making an offer. I can or could turn it up. Here, one more time, I'm making an offer. May, can, could I ask a question? I'm asking for permission. That's right. Excellent. Now, let's go to student book page 73, exercise 4A. Here, you need to circle the best modal verbs. For example, hey Bob, can I ask you a question? Do you have a minute? Mm, I guess so. I've got a class at 10, but I have a few minutes. In this case, should we use should or need to? That's right. We're going to use should because we're talking about an expectation. What is it? Pause the video while you work on the rest. Okay, guys, we're going to check this during our class. This is the end of the review. I will see you in class. Bye bye.